So I'm going to show you a method that many locksmiths use to create master key systems, which can really get you into trouble if you don't know what you're doing. I'm going to start with a pile of keys. Here we have a pile of keys, or more commonly we would take these out of a box. And this method that I'm showing you is often called the shoebox method because you start with a box full of keys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these keys and choose this key as my master key. So this key will be my master key, and then all these others will be my change keys. But there's a problem with that. The problem is that not all of these keys are going to be equal. Not all keys are created equal. Some of them are going to be similar to the master key, and some of them are going to be entirely different from the master key. So I need to sort my keys. So let's see what happens. So I've sorted my keys, and I found that there were 11 keys that have no cuts in common with the master key at all. And there were 6 keys that have 1 cut in common with the master key, so that's 1 constant. And then I found a key that has 3 cuts in common with the master key. You can see the bidding of this key is 242255. So it shares the 2 and the 4 in the first and second chamber. It also shares the 5 in the fifth chamber with our master key. So overall, we have the master key over here. We have a key that is somewhat similar to the master key. And then we have a handful of keys that are very different, but not quite entirely different. And then we have a larger number of keys that are completely different from the master key. They share no cuts at all in common. So between these groups of keys, what you'll find is that it is possible that this key right here will be an incidental master to one of those. Or it's possible that this key, one of these keys, will be an incidental master for one of these. But within each group, you'll never have an incidental master of one of these keys to another key within that group. So if I were to take all of these keys and say I'm going to use these for my change keys, I can be confident that none of them would be incidental masters for each other. Or I could choose this group and make them my change keys, and I'd be confident that all 11 of them would be not incidental masters. But if I were to try to use all 3 of these groups, I run the risk that one of the locks pinned to operate with this key, for example, would be operated by this key, which could very well likely be an incidental master for one of those, because it is more similar to the master key. In fact, we have one right here. I just found this key. The bidding of this key is 351235. A lock pinned to this key and also the master key will inevitably be operated by this key right here as an incidental master. So if I had chosen to use all of these keys as change keys, and suppose I had chosen this as key here, make this key 1, 2, key 3, and when I get down, this would be key 11, and then 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and this is key 18, I would find that key number 18 would operate lock number 11. And that's a very bad thing. But if I had stuck within my groups and only used these 11 keys and don't use any of those, just use these 11, then I would be safe. I'm going to take all these keys and just put them right back in the box. I'm not going to use keys picked randomly out of a box. That's not the professional way to do it. Here's what I do. I'm going to take a piece of paper and start with a top master key that I've chosen, 315847. And then from those numbers, I'm going to generate this list. This entire page is a list of numbers that all comes from my master key bidding. I'll show you later how I generated this list, but for right now, I just want you to see the difference between picking keys randomly out of a box versus generating a list. Once we've got the list, then we can choose which key biddings from the list we're actually going to pin the locks. And then we'll have plenty left over for future use. This is the way professionals do it.